I'm gonna be honest, I don't hate Amber Bennett. I don't love her and I'm not crazy about her, but I don't hate her. I'm pretty much indifferent to her. But I found myself intrigued when, after the first season premiered, then the 2 years of waiting, and finally the airing of season 2, the vitriolic hatred that the animated version of this character received from the fanbase. I don't think the hatred is because Amber in the show is a black woman who had been race swapped from her white comic counterpart. I mean, racism and misogyny probably play into like 5% of Amber's treatment, but I believe this all stems from the confusing dialogue and direction from the writers. While they play the same role, animated Amber and comic Amber are different. Comic Amber is less of a character and more of a plot point. She's in the story far less and is more of an obvious obstacle to preventing Mark and Eve from getting together. It's why none of us are upset when Mark cheats by kissing Eve and when Amber emotionally cheats on Mark at the same time with some guy named Gary, leading to their breakup. Animated Amber immediately stands out by defending Mark against a bully and confronting William about whether or not Mark is dating Eve and then getting Mark's number from him. She feels more like a person, and I and many were fine with Amber in the show. We knew that Amber was the girlfriend before our hero could get together with his future love of his life. But this all ended in episode 6. After Amber blows up at Mark when he secretly went to go change into his costume to defeat the Reaniman during their college tour, Mark figures that if he reveals his secret identity, then Amber would understand and forgive him. So he went to her house and took off his mask in front of her, and instead of being shocked or amazed, Amber just says, "I know." She then explains that she's angry at Mark for lying about being a superhero, which is where the hate for Amber truly begins. As the audience watching the show, we have an understanding of superhero media. Because of that, we're already primed to side with Mark over this issue. Because one of the important rules of being a superhero is to protect your secret identity, because it protects not only yourself, but the people you love. It's not a trust issue, but a safety issue. You can't just expect Mark to tell someone he just met and started dating his secret identity. But tying back to the Reaniman situation, it's written as if Amber doesn't know that Mark is invincible. So looking back and knowing that she does know and has known that he's invincible for months, it makes her seem unreasonable when she blows up at Mark and then eventually breaks up with him. In my opinion, this all could have been avoided by having Amber get upset with the constant ditching and abandonment if the writers were going to have Amber figure out that Mark is invincible. This is what they tried to do in season 2, making her upset that she doesn't get to see her boyfriend and isn't allowed to be upset because he's a superhero who's saving lives. This is because Amber doesn't belong to Mark's world. She's just a normal human trying to live a normal human life. Which could have made the talk between Mark and Debbie, and what it was like for Debbie to be with Nolan, and the comparison between Mark and Amber and Debbie and Nolan hit much harder than it did. As the girlfriend of a superhero, she's expected to deal with the craziness of her boyfriend's superhero lifestyle if she wants to be with him. The disappearances, the excuses, and we see with Anissa that her life can be threatened as a way to get back at Mark. Though I definitely feel that Mark and Amber should have realized that they weren't right for each other long before Anissa threatened to rip off Amber's head. Even though I liked the season 2 breakup, I still think that they should have stayed broken up after season 1. Because a superhero's partner not knowing their secret identity is a massive cliche at this point, the scene just comes across as the writers trying to subvert expectations and create drama, but failing massively. Amber should have a partner that is there for her when she needs them, who she doesn't have to constantly worry about their safety and whose lifestyle won't put her in danger. Mark should have a partner that he can share both sides of his identity with, who can defend themselves and that he doesn't have to worry about constantly leaving behind. But they are teenagers, so I'm not surprised that they were trying to hold onto the relationship despite the problems they were suffering. Especially Mark, who we can see in season 2 was trying to have his cake and eat it too by balancing both his superhero and civilian life. Amber definitely shouldn't have received the amount of hatred and vitriol that she received from the fandom just because of the mistake of the writers. She definitely didn't deserve to be dragged through the mud and basically seen as the worst character to ever exist simply because she was upset at her boyfriend for wanting some honesty from him. Granted, she didn't go about it in the best way, but it's still understandable that she would have this plight. So Amber definitely shouldn't be viewed as some evil, selfish bitch just because she wants to have a normal boyfriend, or to have a boyfriend that's completely honest with her.